Hello people of the wheel. That's right, I did it. I finally freaking did it. I said I wasn't going to do a tutorial, but I've been getting requests for over the past year to make one. I bet you're all pros by now. Anyways, I recorded a video of me doing a power slide and replayed segments of it in a sequence. The girl in the back learned how to power slide after watching me. The father didn't even pay attention and he was able to become a power slide demon just by being in my presence. It's contagious. By the way, I did inform them that they're going to be in my video, so the father was showcasing some mad baller skills while the daughter was pretending to be a statue. Step 1. You must learn how to turn with proper foot positions. The inside foot should always be in front of the outside foot. So if turning left, the left foot should lead and the right foot should trail. Here I demonstrate the wrong way with the outside foot leading just because, well, it helps to visualize. Believe it or not, I used to turn this way when doing crossovers. I would shift my weight onto my outside foot while my inside foot would perform a cross under. Interesting. Step 2. Learn to quickly alternate turning left and right with the proper leading foot. This means skating in an S pattern while alternating the leading foot based on if you're turning left or right. In this video, I exaggerate the rotation of my upper body with each turn. I always lead with my upper body by shifting my arms and shoulders. Naturally, the hips and feet will follow in that direction. Skating is no different than running with respect to the importance of arm swing. The arms aid as a counterbalance and will definitely be used later in the power slide. This gentleman is running for his life as I charge in his direction. I'm just kidding. Step 3. It's time to start carving. With each turn, extend the outside foot further to make a wider turn and focus on pushing the outside foot out and away. Depending on your wheel grip, your wheels may begin to slide a little. But that's okay. This step is about learning how much force you need to put into the ground for the wheels to lose traction. It is very important you learn this so that as we progress through this tutorial, you can initiate your slides with confidence. Step 4. Here we learn to carve to slow down, known as slaloming. If you ask skaters how to slow down, someone would suggest slaloming. It is performed by tackling your S-turns by aggressively carving on the second half of each turn. Cut an S in half and you have a C when turning right. On the second half of that C, an aggressive turn will slow your momentum before following through into the next turn for the S pattern. Ideally, the deceleration is produced when both skates are perpendicular to the direction of your momentum. Step 5. Now you know how to slalom to slow down. It's time to come to a complete stop. At a slow to moderate speed, skate an S pattern. When you hit the final turn, come to a complete stop. If you skate too fast, you might end up sliding. For now, just get the hang of skating an S pattern and come to a complete stop with the final carve. In this demonstration, I don't come to a complete stop because my wheels are sliding out from under me. 90A wheels are definitely slippery. Much easier to do on 85A wheels. Step 6. Learn to force initiate your slides. Previously, we were carving into a full stop without sliding out. By now, you surely have figured out how hard you can carve until your wheels lose grip. In this step, carve like we did in step 4 by extending the outside foot further away to make wider turns. While keeping your weight centered over the inside foot, push the heel of your outside foot and force the wheels to slide so they scrape against the floor. Pretend you're in grade school and you're standing in line next to your friend. You have a note written on a piece of paper on the floor next to your right foot. You step on the piece of paper, slide it out to the right for your friend to read. In order to do so, you must shift a majority of your weight to your left foot, bend the knee, and push the right foot out to the right, known as hip abduction for kinesiology majors. Step 7. In this step, we go over how to slide on one foot to build confidence. Similar to step 6, force initiate your slide using your outside foot, but this time, lift up your other foot off the ground momentarily. This slide only lasts for about a second until you lose balance. When this happens, put the other foot back on the ground and continue into another S-pattern carve. The sliding foot must be at a sharp enough angle to avoid tilting and falling forward. The reason for practicing this drill is to learn the angle of the sliding foot. Keeping your center of gravity over the non-sliding foot acts as a safety net. The front foot will slide until balance is lost, and all you have to do is put the foot in the air back onto the ground. Step 8. Here we learn to initiate the soul slide. I know it's not the power slide, but in order to learn to carve into the power slide, learning the soul slide is a valuable step in that process. Up until now, you've gotten comfortable with sliding the foot out while carving, having a solid idea of how much force is needed to begin sliding, and the angle needed to slide safely. Perform the same drill as step 7, but with 2 changes. First, keep the non-sliding foot on the ground and facing forward. Second, force the slide from your outside foot and continue the direction of the sliding foot until the toe points approximately 45 degrees of internal rotation. This means if you are sliding with the right foot, the toe will point between 10 and 11 o'clock. Step 9. Practicing the soul slide. Continue to build off of step 8 by skating faster and being more aggressive with the outside foot. Rather than going slow from a wide curve, force the outside foot into the extended position with approximately 45 degrees of internal rotation. Take the foot and shove it into the ground to force the slide and ride it out until the slide completes. Step 10. The difference between step 9's soul slide and the power slide is the back foot's position. In this step, we set ourselves up to transition into the power slide by finding the middle ground, which is something similar to the power stop at slow to medium speeds. In this power stop, we're going to do the same thing as the power slide, but make 2 key differences. 1. The sliding foot that was facing forward in the soul slide will now face perpendicular to your direction. Number 2. Once the non-sliding foot has turned perpendicularly to the direction you are traveling, it doesn't change its position on the ground. It does not move. Keep the center of gravity over the grounded foot and do not allow it to slide or move on the ground. Allow the sliding foot to complete its slide to the full stop. Some people are going to be really technical, but please do not argue in the comments about how to do a proper power stop. I'm simply using this as a learning drill for the next step. Unfortunately, in the footage that I took of me doing these, I ended up turning my foot a little bit too far, so it made it look like I was doing a power slide. So I apologize for that, but do try and keep that back foot perpendicular and in the same exact spot. Welcome to the final step, where we learn to rotate the back foot so it faces the opposite direction to which you are traveling, which makes it the power slide. In this demonstration, I exaggerate how to transition into my power slides with the back foot by using the toe wheel as a pivot. I keep the toe wheel grounded while lifting my heel off the ground to rotate so my foot faces the opposite direction and planting it back onto the ground. So why did we do that drill where we practice sliding on one foot? Yeah, this is why. We got comfortable doing that so this step would be easier. Eventually, The heel would not need to leave the floor, but that'll happen more naturally over time. Here I demonstrate the power slide without lifting my foot off the ground. And that's it. After over a year of requests, I hesitated because there was so much existing content out there. I didn't see how I could make yet another power slide tutorial video of any value. Skating backwards into a power slide is one way to do it, but I have to say that most tutorials miss the mark when it comes to teaching people how to gain entry into the slide. And by that I mean carving into it, which is what I tried to accomplish with this. The last thing I want to talk about is in regards to the power stop. I think it's worth mentioning what I'm doing with my legs and body upon entry into the slide, during the slide, and approaching the stop. This technique is actually what makes the power stop the power stop and not a power slide. In order to come to a complete stop, you have to control your slide, which makes it much more difficult to execute. A power slide is easy because you can just hold your position until you stop moving. But a power stop requires you to initiate the slide and then deliberately stop it. Watch my hips. They start high as I enter the slide, they're low during my slide, and they are high again as I approach the stop. Getting low gives me a low center of gravity, and it sharpens the sliding foot angle that's needed to force the slide. It also allows my knees and hips to absorb a majority of the force that would otherwise go into the ground as a slide. My legs are working like shocks in a car. If a car suspension is too stiff, it's more prone to sliding. It can also be thought of as jumping down from a flight of stairs. If I do a hard landing with stiff legs, I'll probably break something. However, if I land by absorbing the impact, by bending at the hips and knees, I can land safely. Anyways, rising up stops the slide because the foot angle of the sliding foot is lost and the force travels up the body instead of into the ground. Now watch my body angle. I start upright as I enter the slide, sharpen my angle during my slide, and I am upright again as I approach my stop. Standing up in the end is also what stops the slide. Why is this so difficult to execute? You can tip over if you try to do a power stop with too much speed. You might as well do a parallel slide or, a power slide, since that's what you came.